Hi souls, I'm Ali.
And I'm Ebs.
And welcome to the Divine Soliloquy podcast.
Journey with us as we share with you a higher level of thought consciousness from our own personal perspectives. Listen guys, the universe operates on a constant level of vibration and is constantly moving, growing and changing. And so are our thoughts, feelings and opinions.
This is a safe space, so there's no judgment here. Everything is love, love, love. So join us as we vibrate in and out of banter and soulful conversations. You can keep up with Ebs and I on Instagram at divine.soliloquy. That's divine.soliloquy.
Wow.
Hi souls.
Hi.
Today guys, give me a couple seconds, I'll work my way in there. Today we're going to speak to you about relationships. Platonic versus romantic relationships. And how important are they to you, and the balance that you feel like or you don't feel like you can have.
Or which one is more important?
Yeah. I mean, would you say that your platonic relationships are more important than your romantic relationships?
That's a really hard question because in the long run, yes, I would. Because when I think of platonic relationships, I don't just think of friends. I also think of my parents and my siblings and my cousins, aunties and uncles and grandparents. All of those are platonic relationships. So I cannot rely on that one person in a romantic relationship to give me everything I need in terms of the community aspect of things, because for me community is really big. And when I say community, I don't necessarily mean like, you know, your London area. I just mean your immediate tribe, your circle, the people that you surround yourself with. So if I was to say that this one romantic partner person is more important than everybody else in my circle, that would be a bit silly, wouldn't it?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because you have multiple platonic connections. You have, in this example, one romantic connection.
Most people in their lives have more than one.
You have more than one romantic, but I'm just speaking a partner at a time, unless you're poly or...
No, I'm just talking about you get
openly.
divorced and remarried again.
But at a time.
Yes.
In what I'm trying to say, unless you know, date multiple people at a time, you have that one romantic partner. You've already listed, without friends, you listed a hierarchy of family members that you consider platonic.
Yeah.
So it may not be more important, but you can agree that it has a different significance. So to some, I'm assuming that they would say then, because of its significance being different, they automatically deem it more important. Off face value. So this isn't how I feel, I'm just giving a different look on it. So if you say this is my man or my woman, this is my mum, my nan, my da-da-da-da-da-da-da. People do treat their spouses differently from their relationship.
Differently and better are two different things. So there's a lot of people...
And better.
Yeah, but that's the problem I probably have.
Yeah.
I would not be treating my partner better than my mother. And vice versa. However, differently, yes. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. I think they feel like you have to choose either or in terms of the level of respect or love or attention, when it just needs to be maneuvered in a different way. I feel like the relationship is obviously different. It's romantic and platonic, so it's obviously going to have different dynamics. But at the end of the day, the respect, the love, maybe not necessarily the time, because obviously logistically you're probably going to be living with your partner. It will be different, but like I said, different. Like you said, different. You know,
It is different, and I think again, it's how significant any of these relationships are to you. So you treat your mother potentially different than you treat a best friend, potentially different from an acquaintance, and then you have your basic foundations as to how you navigate as a person, that everybody gets this equal treatment. So if you're heavy on respect, everybody gets respect.
Yeah,
you all get to experience me. I think for me, I do it by access.
okay.
So depending on how significant you are to me, depends on how much access you get to me.
Okay.
For example, I can have a really, really good friend, and I could have a really, really close cousin, and they might have different access to me.
What determines what kind of access they have to?
Our connection.
Okay.
The bond that we have. So I may have... Everyone has different purposes in your life, as you said about community. If I just put family to a side for a second and say just friends, you can have a travel buddy, you have an eating friend, you have that friend that is always up for a good time and experience everything with you. You have that confidant. And I'm not saying that some friends can't wear many hats, but people still hold a different value and a different space in your life, and that's why sometimes it can seem like certain friendships are cyclical in the same 4 or 5 people that you're connecting with on a daily basis, because that may be the stage in your life where you're at. When you were raving a lot, you probably saw your raving friends all the time. And then your confidant friend, you're just, hey, you just check in, because right now I don't want advice, I want to bend over. Do you know what I mean? Because you're raving. I'm dancing wise, not like in said position.
Sorry, I think I was like zoned out for a little bit because I was trying to think of like what you were saying, and then you said that and I was like, I'm sorry, what?
But you wake up when I say bend over, your island gal.
Well,
so bend over, she said, what? She said, alright. And she looked up, guys.
And literally I was like, whoa. No, yeah. Different.
It is all different.
Yeah, it's all different.
And it's significant.
But actually, that's a very good point. And question then, does it change? So obviously, because you talked about different times in your life. So what if when you were in your 20s and you had a partner, but you were always kind of like putting your friends before your partner, but now in your 30s, all of a sudden you want to now put your partner before your friends, or vice versa? Do you feel like that's okay? Because like a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people, mainly men funny enough, complain that their significant other, the friends take precedence over them.
Yeah, I mean that's subjective, but I would say at this stage in my life, my partner is and will be considered a lot more than in my early 20s. And I can say,
what about in your early 20s then?
Because in my early 20s, this was unknowingly, but I was always that type of friend. So we've had this conversation before where and the way that I love, it was quite difficult for anybody that was coming into my life in a romantic sense to be like, so how do I know you love me any differently? Because of my love language, I'm going to uplift you, I'm going to be your cheerleader, I'll do anything for you. So it's kind of like people come into your life in a romantic sense, and sex aside, it's kind of like, whoa, this person's going to do all of this stuff. And then they see you and how you navigate other relationships that you also have care for or love for, and they're like, so I'm not the only one getting dinner. So this is an example. Or do you know what I mean? You're saying darling to whoever,
to everyone.
So people feel or hadn't felt so special. I think now I'm a lot more conscious of that. And it moves with time and it moves with age. Dating now, there's a seriousness attached to it that wasn't there in my early 20s. So in your early 20s, you're looking for, it's just like, do you know what I mean? Not everybody. And this isn't the mind mentality that is shared by all women.
No.
But I speak a lot about my journey and my growth. And whilst I was growing and working on me, I then went through a period of time that I knew me and I wanted to spend some time with me. So it was like, oh wow, this is amazing. I just want to just chill with Al. Like, she's great. Now I know who she is. I wasn't looking for anything for a lifetime. So I wasn't applying anything that suggested, okay, this is something that I'm looking for a lifetime, because as you said, these men are saying they're not being considered. I would definitely do that now. More than my friends, that's still questionable because it depends. People offer different things. For example, you and I, we've had this chat again where we were saying about, your man's not going to give you everything. He's not going to give you everything. He's not going to be your everything. He can't be your everything. So would I then throw you, as in literally, my confidant, dash you to the side,
boy,
just because some love,
boy.
Because I'm not gonna throw you away like that.
I've told my other friend, and listen, we had this conversation. I said you can't get rid of me, so you can try.
But I can manage my time, and you can manage your expectation.
No.
Just manage it.
Triggering me now. You're triggering me.
But do you know what I mean? Because you manage your time differently, and then your friends understand what you're doing and where your priorities lie.
Yeah.
So we can, and I think that we would have that dialogue, because in any relationship that you have had, platonic or not platonic, and that's the point of this conversation, you should communicate when there's going to be a shift. And
not a lot of people do.
Not a lot of people do that because they don't treat sometimes their platonic relationships equally in that way. Some of the tools that they know make a successful romantic relationship, they don't apply to platonic relationships.
And vice versa.
Right. So when I say communicate that, if I'm about to get married or whatever, I have a conversation with you. You know, I can't do our 3-4 hour conversations anymore, and I can't do this and I can't do that anymore, and you have that conversation with me and you understand the shift, and we come up with what it's going to look like now.
Yeah.
Because I might be able to not see you as often. We might FaceTime more, just so that we can feel connected again. We might make sure we start to have a new tradition, get our nails done together.
Yeah.
Something that's consistent. But you should have that communication with your friends, and as you said, people don't.
They really don't. And the common thing is that people will quote unquote ghost friends once they get into a relationship.
Oh, can we go on, please?
Well, no, yeah, and that is something that is. I feel like we've all either been experienced it or been the person doing it. And if you haven't experienced it, you've probably been the one doing it.
I have never been that person.
I've never
have
been that person. Never been that person. No, I've never. Literally just like not spoken to friends for months on end because I'm in a relationship, and consistently every time I get into a relationship, after I come out of it, then all of a sudden be like, friends, how you been, let's do this, let's do that. Never been that person.
Look, can we really it's annoying, because I really want to be human about it. It's actually really annoying.
It's a bit disrespectful, I'm not gonna lie. Like, how do you know I'm still here?
It's inconsiderate, and it's ungrateful, and it's annoying. And I am speaking to anybody that does that. It doesn't matter if you're friend, family or foe. It's annoying, and you really have to look at your situation and say, why am I doing that? Because there's so many other toxic things attached to that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Codependency.
In my soliloquy.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Because you basically said, I've jumped from one codependent relationship to the next. Yeah. And when this one doesn't work out, I'm just going to come back to you because you're always there, right?
And that's what it is. It's the always there thing. And what a lot of people that do that don't understand is also, whilst they're in the relationship, they're no longer reachable. So it's not just on their time, but I also mean with what they're consumed by. You find that you can identify those people because they will be with someone or find someone, and they can no longer ingest anything you have to say because their brain is solely focused on this individual. So then the conversations just become about them.
Yes.
And when it's not about them, they're not engaged because they would like it to be about them.
And then ends up being about them.
It ends up being about them. And then when you do have this conversation with them about their partner or whatever, if they come to you for advice, you still can't advise them because they don't want to hear what you have to say. Anything that's not going to co-sign their narrative.
No, most people just want to vent.
Yeah.
It's a very like I said, it's quite disrespectful. It's like you're literally using me and throwing me away when you feel like it, and then picking me out of the trash when you're ready to come back and realise, actually no, I do need you, come back into my life. Because then when you do dip your toe in, it's just for your benefit. It's for you to vent and to rant, and like you said, like co-sign what I'm saying and give me a little bit of battery in my back so that I can go back to my man and do whatever. It's not for you to check in to see how I'm doing, if I'm good, how's work, if I'm even in a relationship too. None of that stuff.
If I even want to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Because if you've been with your man, if you're this type of character and this relationship is 6 months and you were seeing them for a couple of months before that, we haven't been friends then in about 8.
Yeah.
Because, or as in you haven't been there for me as a friend in about 8. So when you're phoning me and it's just about you, what you find interesting as well, those people be like, what? You didn't tell me that you did-a-da. You didn't tell me that you don't know anything, babes.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you anything.
And in this day and age, I find it very hard for you to lose contact with someone, especially if they're that close to you, that in that way. Because even if you're not having conversations with them on the phone, you could be sending little texts. You could be, if you're on social media, you could be sending them posts, responding to posts, like doing up engagement on any of the platforms. Do you know what I mean? So there's so many different ways that you could still be engaging in my life, and you've chosen not to.
Some people don't think past themselves though in that way.
Oh, 100%.
And I don't, do you know what I mean? And it sounds really selfish when I say it, but a lot of people don't think past themselves in that way. They see it as, you should be happy for me.
Yeah.
So when you say that, all they hear is that you're jealous.
Yeah.
And you're not happy for them. And it's not, well, for myself, it would never be coming from a jealous place, but it sometimes does come from a place of
hurt. Like,
it comes from a place of hurt, and I don't owe you anything. So if I'm speaking up about something, it's usually to give you the opportunity to change. That's my personality. If I stop speaking to you about something, I no longer care for you to change, or I identify that it's not going to happen in my cycle with you. So I just leave you to it.
And I feel like that segues really well into the fact that people don't ever really touch on friendship heartbreaks enough. Because in my personal opinion, I have had some really tough friendship breakups that it's taken me years to get over.
Actually harder than any other breakup.
Yeah, it's taken me a really long time to get over certain friendship breakups. And a lot of people just assume that your romantic partners are the only ones who can break your heart. No, parents, siblings, everyone can break your heart. If you have a connection with anyone or anything, it can break your heart. It's as simple as that. And I've had friends, what felt like literally take a dump on my face, and I've had to just go on with the world and act like everything was okay, just because it's a friend. Because if you go and say to someone, oh, they say like, oh, what's wrong? And they say, and you say, you know, well,
my friend broke my heart.
Yeah, my friend, they'll look at you like, are you in love? They're like, was you not fucking? Like, what's going on? Like, no. This person was my confidant. Especially if it's a friend where you're like, especially I feel like in your early 20s, all relationships are intense, whether it be your friendships or your romantic partners.
yeah.
So it's just like, we just want all of you. The energy is always just consistent. So especially with friendships early on, you're always around each other. You know everything about each other. You're going to probably, as girls, and let me not talk about guys, but most of us girls have had friends where they've been to your house and not left for weeks on end because you're just always in each other's space. You're just like, oh, you may as well just move in. Do you know what I mean? And then you go from that to you basically effing me over and acting like I never existed, and you doing things so unimaginable that I look at you like, did I even see you in the first place? Which is exactly what happens in romantic relationships. You look at this person and you're so in love and infatuated by them that you don't even see them for who they truly, truly are. And then one day they do something horrific and you're just like, oh my God, you're a horrible person. How could you do that to me? The same thing happens in friendships.
But just to go off the heartbreak of it and the disappointment, is because a lot of those times those people are frenemies. Doesn't mean they started out to be, but sometimes the closer people get to you, the more they don't like you for the wrong reasons, and that's when they become frenemies. And that's where the heartbreak comes in, because these people, when not all the time obviously, but sometimes when a relationship's going downhill, you might not see it in the moment, but there's signs and whatever. And it's for different things, whether it's codependency or arguing or just incompatibility. With these friendships, in order to get your heart broken, as you said, you have to be around that person. So that person usually they insert themselves in ways that
romantic partner doesn't
insert themselves. They will be there for you for family things, and I'm not saying a romantic partner doesn't do these things, but it's in a whole new type of way.
And I personally feel like, and I'm not going to speak for everyone, and I'm definitely not going to speak for you, but I personally do feel like there are certain things about me and certain aspects of my vulnerability that only my close friends have, and only a partner maybe that I would get close to marriage with would have access to. So if that friend has that level of access to my vulnerability, they also have that level of access to completely destroy me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And a partner might not. I definitely know that a bunch of, like, the partners that I had in my 20s, well, the majority of the partners that I had in my 20s did not have that access like a couple of the friends that I had a breakup with had.
You know, I can agree as well.
Yeah. That's heartbreaking. And they don't know that. They don't know that.
But you know what? I've only ever, and I shouldn't say only ever, like it should happen a lot. I've had, you know, people in my life, some that I considered friends, some that they considered friends to me, and it wasn't the other way around, or disguise themselves as friends. I've been stabbed in the back in different ways, but it's only happened once where I felt heartbroken about the situation and genuinely missed the person. We're friends now. We can't, you know, life will do that, and this person's supposed to be part of my journey. She's actually a very massive part of my journey, and I love her to pieces. But at the time, it was like probably one of my first heartbreaks, because I was so much younger as well, and it was like, what on earth is this?
Yeah.
And I genuinely cared, and I genuinely missed her, and I genuinely mourned it as well, like as you would.
Crying, can't eat for days. Like,
it's like,
no,
where's my brethren?
Yeah.
Like, this was my ride or die. As it's happened later on in life, it's been different, because it hasn't been anyone that I've been like, okay, no, I miss you, or I want you back in my life, or my intuition was not speaking to me before. Because sometimes you do lose these friendships that mean something to you, but you really can see the bigger picture as to why that ran its course and it's done.
Or the same thing that happens in romantic relationships where you learn each time, I feel like that also happens in the friendships.
Yes, 100%.
So I feel like the first one's going to sting. The first friendship breakup is always going to be the worst.
Yeah.
My first one was my worst. I had a second one that wasn't as bad, because I learned from the first to manage my expectations.
Yeah.
And so going forward, I had learned. So, but yeah, no, it's a lot. I just feel like it's a topic that I just don't hear very often. And I just wanted to touch on it because I thought of the person again the other day. I was like, rah, like, it's literally been nearly 10 years.
That is also coupled with the fact that there wasn't a certain type of closure.
There was no closure.
And do we need closure to move on? No, you don't need closure. Usually the person's actions will give you all the closure you need, blah, 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 blah. However, just like when someone ghosts you, because you were speaking about friends ghosting, in a romantic situation, it's the same thing for a platonic situation. It's like, walk on with this, and some people do that to friends because they consider it as, well, you're just my friend, I don't owe you anything, and they feel like they've told you before. So a lot of people that ghost, if you speak to people that are ghosters, because I've spoken to the ghosters, and they will say to you, I've said it before. So in a ghoster's mentality, if they've told you on a Tuesday, I don't like that you're always on your phone, if they then decide, forget it, because you've done that thing. Okay. But they haven't had that conversation for ages. But in their mind, I've said it to you once. Said it already, yeah. And that's the conversation I've had. And if I apply that to a friendship, I see it a lot when I listen to other people's stories. When they're speaking about the friend a little bit more and more and more, and you're thinking, isn't that your mate? Like, that's your left hand. Yeah. That was your batty and you were the crack. Yeah. But do you know what I mean? And then now all of a sudden you want to be toilet tissue, you want to depart. You don't want it. I'm done. But it's true, and it's just kind of like, and then you really start to see the cracks. And you see that person just give up on the friendship. So when you're speaking to the other person, they're like, I don't understand, like, we were fine, we were talking, and and they have their reasons. They feel like they've said it a million times. But it's wrong, because, sorry to cut you, but you wouldn't do that to, not all romantic relationships. Well, you wouldn't do that to I mean I'm not, this is obviously subjective. Yes. But for the most part, a boyfriend or whoever that you've been with for ages, because we had the whole chat about how you break up with a partner when it's not right for you, and some people find it very difficult to break up with friends that aren't right for them. Oh, I do, 100%, and I've had to do that. A lot of people don't. They'll be like, I've been friends with this person since primary school, and they want to hold on to the years, which they do in romantic relationships. You find a lot of people that will be like, we've been together for 16 years, but they don't speak about the infidelity and the 25 times they broke up and the 4 kids in between. people like a number.
They do.
And they like a number because it says a lot about a person that can maintain. And I think you said to me once as well, you don't trust people that don't know how to maintain relationships.
Friendships.
Friendship.
Yeah. I don't
That's what
trust,
I meant by relationship.
Sorry, yeah. I don't trust people who don't have at least 1 or 2 solid long-term friendships. Because I just feel like that just means that you're the problem.
And there are a lot of people out there that will be like, no, it's not me, it's all
me. Everyone
them.
else.
Yeah.
No, it's you.
No, it is 100% you.
I'm so sorry.
It's you! And you, and you, and you.
I can see the reviews dropping right now. No, but, no, it is true. It is true. It's
You. just in case you didn't hear me before, it's all you.
No, but it is indicative of how you can manage a relationship. Like, if literally nobody has wanted to stay,
no one
for more than 4 or 5 years, that's a bit.
And then they'll just be like, no, do you know why? It's because I'm growing and I'm always changing. Yeah. No, everyone's growing away from
you. Or like, it's always just like, the one I hear a lot and the one that triggers a lot of people is, I just don't trust females. Especially with female relationships. Yeah, like, and it's just like, yeah, no, it's probably you. No, it's actually probably you.
Because, without going too deep in it, but we all do need that whole feminine energy. Feminine and masculine energy. We need feminine energy. Men as well. A divine masculine does need feminine energy, or their divine feminine to be whole. Yin, yang, right?
Yeah.
So when people say, as in, not people, other females say, I just don't trust females, just can't get along with them, and da-da-da-da-da. Usually they're blocked somewhere, usually in some sort of the heart or the sacral chakra. But there's a blockage there as to why, and that blockage of vulnerability.
Yes.
And that ability to have a level of self-awareness that you don't have to have the same level of self-awareness to interact with men.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, men.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
But it's not a negative thing. It doesn't. It's just different
dynamics of relationships. And it's very indicative, like you said, of how vulnerable you can be and how self-aware you can be. Because a lot of the time what you'll find is, if you were trying to have a relationship with another woman, you probably weren't being open and honest. You weren't having those deep conversations. You were getting very triggered very quickly. The ego was the biggest part of the relationship. Yeah. And I hear a lot when I hear that, and I talk to girls who say, oh, I just can't trust females, or I can't be... It's usually like, or she's jealous of me, or they're always jealous of me, or they always think I'm too nice, or their man always wants me,
or they don't like my bitch face.
They don't like, or like something to do with your ego.
Yeah.
Where you have not just stepped back and said, or thought to yourself, maybe that has nothing to do with it. Maybe you're just a disrespectful person. Maybe you just have no morals. Maybe, like you said, no self-awareness. It might be you.
Not many people want to admit to themselves that they're hard to be around.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to admit.
No, it's not.
But sometimes, if you cannot have a relationship for a good period of time and maintain that, you probably are hard to be around in some way, shape or form. I don't know what shape or form that is, but usually it has something to do with confidentiality. So if you're a chatty patty, that makes it very difficult for people to feel like they can trust you, because it goes down to trust and loyalty. And vulnerability, because I'm going to couple that with like honesty and so on and so forth. If you making people feel safe, and some people, very sinister people, will actually make you feel safe so you can do all that, so they can be chatty patty.
Yes, that's very true. Very true.
And I've actually, narcissists. I've had some narcissistic friendships before.
Yeah, 100%.
And relationships, but like friendships, most narcissists that come into my life, they're actually platonic.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
They're actually platonic. And they're energy vampires.
They just take. I had a friendship, and honest to God, if you ask, we were probably friends for about, I want to say maybe 7 years. And if you ask this girl the basics about me, she won't be able to tell you.
I believe that, yeah.
And I remember the day, and that was the friend I had to break up with.
Yeah.
When I had to break up with her, essentially, because that's literally what I had to do, I was shook. I was such a pussy. I just text her. because I couldn't, because I knew that she would manipulate the situation to make it sound like I was overreacting, or it could be fixed, but it couldn't be fixed because she wasn't ever going to change. And I knew she wasn't ever going to change. Once you know someone for that long,
you know they're not going to change.
You know they're not going to change.
Yeah.
You know they've never been open to change. It's never been something in their rhetoric. It's always been, it's everybody else's problem, not me. I'm always the perfect one. Everyone else is always the issue. And especially at the lowest point in my life, when she couldn't even step outside of her own situation to just be like, are you good? That's when I knew. I was like, nah.
See, a lot of people can't do what she done though. What she wasn't able to do. Step outside of herself in order to nurse and nurture you. Nah.
That's mad.
And I think that you really being aware of the fact that I have to break up with you. Not that I even want to. I have to break up with you because you cannot fulfill my need. Is telling of your emotional maturity. Yeah. Telling of your character. But also begs the question, if you were a partner, would you be able to do it as easily and the same?
Yeah, 100%. I probably would have done it sooner.
I know that about you, but I just thought that would be something to share.
And I feel like we do allow... Well, actually, that's a good question. Do you feel like we allow more allowances for our friends before they break our heart than our partners?
For me personally, yes.
Your friends?
My friends.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I think, because I said in one of our previous podcasts, I was saying that like a partner gets more allowances. Anyone that I'm emotionally attached to gets quite a few allowances, or has done in the past in my personality. However, in terms of friends, they definitely get more. I think partners get more chances to disrespect you in a way that people recognize disrespect to be.
Okay.
So for example, with a partner, it's kind of like, okay, you raise your voice, who you talking to? Or for a partner, it's kind of like, I asked you to do this 100 times, why am I repeating myself? You don't have those same types of arguments with friends. I think with friends, when it's deep, it's like with a knife, you know? It's a different type of deep. So with the partner, I feel like seemingly it seems like more. But with a friend, sometimes it can be, a lot of the time, it could be deeper.
Yeah.
And just so cutting because it comes out of nowhere.
It's a bigger wound. It's like, okay, I either slapped you in the face, or like you said, stabbed you in the back. Which one hurts more? Stab in the back. You're still causing me some type of pain, but one hurts more than the other. Yeah.
I've had to... Similarly to you, I've broken up with quite a few friends actually. I have done the texting thing, and I've done the calling thing. I've done the face-to-face thing. As I've gotten older is when I started actually sending messages. Funnily enough, because I think the way you expressed it before was like, I think you said you were like coward or something. The way I viewed it is that I've done the sit-downs, and speaking to somebody that is not committed to comprehending what it is that you have to say is so taxing and so unnecessary.
There's no point.
And so unfair because of what I already feel like I've endured. I don't need any more. So I actually realised that a message is all I need to send.
Because you get it all out and they can't interrupt you and try and manipulate the situation. Yeah, that's how I felt.
And you're going to tell this story anyway. So at least now you can just show it, actually.
You can just say, look what she said.
And then we can both do the same thing. Because sometimes you speak to these people. And I remember once, because I do this thing where I can put things together. I'll piece things together in my mind.
You know your friends.
Right. So I've had like a friendship breakup and stuff. And when I started piecing together things, you start to realise like, oh, you were doctoring this situation for ages. And you don't look at those things before.
Yeah. A lot of people will manipulate situations or make you think certain things, and it's only until you get to know them. I remember I was in that situation. I was living with a family member, and she would say things to me about a friend of hers, and then the friend would come over and she would be completely different. So then from that point on, and this is very important, like you need to pay attention to this in friendships especially. If you have a friend who is consistently talking about other people or other friends to you, they're also doing the same in reverse. They are talking about you to other people. It's
Oh yeah,
literally
you
mental.
always know.
But a lot of people don't realise that. A lot of people say, no, we just do it with each other, because she's my bestie, innit? Like, and I've said that before. I've been like, yeah, no, it's just my bestie, do. Well,
Yeah, we've all said that, but I think some people people are very mean-spirited.
Yes.
And I think it's just understanding that not everybody's nice. Not everyone has your best interest at heart.
For sure.
And just another tip of the day, you can have somebody that is a really good friend of yours and they can love you to pieces, but going back to what we said earlier in the conversation, depending on how they value their relationships, you can still be easily thrown away simply because of that.
Yeah.
Because people become unrecognizable whenever it is that they love whatever they love. So if we talk about addiction, love can be an addiction, and so that's really important.
No, it is.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your friendships, because I've heard this before, that your friendships greatly shape who you are and the trajectory of your life?
In terms of sociologically, I understand the argument. For me, do they? To some degree, actually. To some degree. I don't think I massively agree with it, but I haven't given it much thought. But off the bat, I can say to some degree. Because, from my perspective, how I'm digesting what you've asked me is what I've learnt from them, even what they do in their own personal lives. What I've learnt, to some degree, has navigated some of the decisions that I was about to make. So from a young age, for example, when I wasn't dating, I wasn't interested. Everyone around me that's dating, I'm seeing how it goes. And then I'm looking at it from the male's perspective and how they're speaking about these women, or young girls at the time. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be spoken about like that. So I'm going to make this decision.
Yeah.
So to a degree, yes. Because then you changed how I chose to now live my life, because I'm like learning from your experiences. In terms of, you know, the things that I learned from them, our conversations, our experiences, their experiences, the advice that they give me, yeah. In terms of who I am as a person, no, because I know what to take and what to throw away. And I can do that in any area of my life.
Right. Because it's the deeper version of birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will say, well, if you're somebody who has a high paying job, you're going to surround yourself with other people who have high paying jobs. And I think that's ridiculous. I don't think that that's something that you could even choose or forecast. Like, how are you going to know? One friend might lose their job, then what happens? You're going to kick them out of the circle. Do you know what I mean? Like,
for some, yeah.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
But
because I've mentioned before, I think being a well-rounded person is also having different types of people in your circle and learning different types of lessons from different types of people in your circle. So yes, I might have somebody who, I think a lot of us, depending on the age and depending on who you are, I think a lot of us have, like me, for example, I have a doctor in my circle, a teacher, someone who doesn't have a job, quote-unquote Instagram model, like so many different types of people in my immediate circle that it's going to be very hard for me now to not try and at least be a well-rounded person. Does that make sense? Like, I think friendships heavily influence who you are as a person, depending on who you are as a person.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Oxymoron, but if you are somebody who is easily swayed and easily influenced from birth, that's not going to change once you get a certain set of friends. You're just going to always be, most of the time, you're going to always be an easily swayed person. If you have a very strong sense of self, the influence that your friends have will be very beneficial and it won't be to your detriment. So, for me personally, the influence that I know my friends have on me is always that I just get inspired by them. And I learn from them. Whereas some people, their influence is, well, that friend's doing up road, so I'm going to do up road. You know what I mean? Or that person's out here busting it wide open on OnlyFans, so I'm going to.
But even if they don't do the whole, if your friend jumps off the bridge, you're going to jump off too, because I can hear every parent saying that to their kid at one time. They do it's what they choose to learn, or what they drink in. So some people, it's like, well, my friend said this, so I'm going to take everything you say. It's not even just about monkey see, monkey do. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if you're still going to take everything they say, you're still taking, you might as well do, even if you don't.
As in what do you...
So, for example, if I'm just like, I believe in everything you say, I'm not going to think for myself. If I considered you my most intelligent friend, so everything that you say is everything that I'm going to now just drink in and believe, I still could be the party friend. But I know if I come to you, I'm going to get a certain type of advice. You could give me advice that doesn't benefit me in my situation, but I've already labelled you as my intelligent friend that can always give me great advice. Does that make sense? So I'm not trying to meet you where you are, because it's like, nah. I still want to be me and chill and do what I want to do, but I'm going to just drink in everything you say because I've given you that title, and by the way you articulate yourself, you're holding out. Why am I going to change it? But do you know what I mean? I think that's what a lot of people need to understand, that people are telling you through their eyes and their shoes and their perspectives, and you take that perspective and you piece it back together the way that it suits your life. Because equally, I've been held responsible for the demise of other people's situations. Because I really have. Because it's like, you've given me this advice. That's just my advice. Like, you can do what you want with it.
You're the advice friend.
I've always had that role as the advice friend.
Yeah.
Advice person in anyone's life. It's not fun. No. Because it's lonely, and we'll get into that. So it can be quite lonely.
A whole other episode.
But it's just advice. And I can only advise you. And the way that my mind works, I'm quite intricate in things. So how you tell me a story is heavily going to impact on the advice I give you. And I can give you advice without even knowing the story. I've advised people knowing nothing before, just on their energy.
Yeah.
But if you say to me and you tell me a story that only works in your favour, which a lot of people do naturally.
100%. I was going to say,
a lot of people do that naturally.
Yeah.
You're going to get advice based on your side of the story. It's when because I've had conversations and then that person will start to piece in, well, they said that after I said this. Okay, well, now you've just dug a greater hole, because...
That's what I'm saying, because you should also know when your friends are really coming to you for advice, or they're actually just coming for venting and co-signing purposes. Because a lot of the time that's what it is. They don't want to hear what you have to say.
I don't mind that.
I don't mind that. Just tell me up front. So don't waste my time, hours and hours giving you advice that you're not going to take.
And sometimes they already know because when they start to debate you about their advice, so they're like, should I leave my man because he done this and he done that today? You're like, well, do you know what? It's not healthy for you. Well, you don't really know him like that. He's been through so much.
I've had that happen.
And you're just like,
sis, why did you come here?
Yeah, and then it just becomes a thing where it's just like, if anything, you've pushed them closer to this man that you didn't even try to take them away from. But do you understand what I mean? It's like, but no, it's something that has to be taken into consideration.
So friendships are, I think they're very influential, and I think there's nothing wrong with that as long as it doesn't necessarily change the core person that you are. Take from your friends the things that you know are going to help you grow and learn and move in love and light, essentially. And don't use people as well.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, don't use people and just be out here, just be like, thank you, yoink, thank you, yoink. Like,
you need to pour back into people. Yeah. And for people that are givers, give to the givers and stop giving to the takers. And I remember writing something once, and I said, what if the givers gave to the givers and the takers, and we left the takers to fend for themselves?
Literally.
Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we have to make sure that we don't give out our overflow. I remember a good friend said to me once, she wants to get to that point in her life where she's always overflowing with love, and she really is. She just radiates love. And she was like, I only want to give out my overflow, so I'm always full.
Yeah, that's a very good way to say it.
And it was beautiful, and I want to share that with you guys. That's what you need to be giving out.
You need to make sure you've got the capacity at the end of the day, or the extra capacity, like the overflow said. But also, guys, remembering that your love languages are not just for your romantic partners, and they're not just for you, they're also for your friends. So if you know and you practice your love languages consistently on your romantic relationships, why are you not practicing them in your friendships? Why are you not telling your friends, hey, I like it when you use words of affirmation, hey, I love it when you spend quality time with me? My friends know that we could probably not speak for like months, well, not months, but weeks or months on end sometimes, but when we do link up, it is a good quality sesh. Because my love language is quality time. I want to be in your energy. I want to be vibing with you. I want to be connecting with you. And we laugh and we drink and we eat and we do whatever. That's what I love to do. And my friends know that, and they reciprocate that. And you know, probably in the same breath, they probably have the same love language. Doesn't always have to be that way, but that's just how it's been lucky for me.
Yeah.
But just don't forget that with your friendships and your platonic relationships. If your parents, siblings. Do you know what I mean?
I think check in with your friends more and ask them what they need. As you should in your romantic relationships. Ask your friends what they need. Sometimes you have a friend and you don't know how to support them. Don't then back away because you don't know how to support them. You say to your friend, what do you need? How can I support you?
And also don't be afraid to say to your partner, hey, my friend needs me right now. Just a heads up. Because I've said that. I've had that conversation with a partner before. I've been like, listen, something's happened with my friend. I'm probably going to have to go and help and whatever. My phone might be moving a bit mad for a couple of days. And they've been like, right, that's cool. It's understandable. A secure person in the relationship will not be mad at you for going and helping somebody else that you love at the end of the day.
I was going to say about helping out as well. When we go back to those types of relationships where you're putting just your partner in the first, second and third position of your life, sometimes you do neglect your friendships in that way that need you. You should be able to use the same level of self-awareness that you can use for your man or your woman and say to yourself, I think this person needs me. So I'm going to make a conscious effort to visibly, if I can, see that person. Sometimes checking in is not enough.
No.
And if you know your friends well enough, you should know who you can't check in on. Because I personally, I'm not a friend you can check in on. If you message me to say, hey, how are you? How's it going? I'm always going to say I'm fine.
Exactly.
I'm never going to just be like, oh, I haven't been good, you know.
Those friends that always say they're fine, they're not fine.
They're not fine. We are not fine. I lie, I tell.
We're not. No, we're fine.
We are fine for the most part, but it's like,
we're never going to tell you.
Your spidey senses were tingling enough to ask the question, then most likely no. Even if it, you know, depends on how unfine that person truly is, but just check in. And checking on the friend that's always checking in on you.
I value my friendships so highly. Like, it's actually unreal. Like, to the point where I think we've joked about, like, certain friends are going to have to stay in my life in order for me to be able to put up with whatever long-term partner I have. Because I'm going to need a balance. It's just inevitable. And so I just think a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't acknowledge how important platonic relationships are. And they put everything in their be-all and end-all into romantic ones. Not that there's anything wrong with you obviously pouring all your love into that one, but just remember to don't forget other people, man. Don't forget these people in your life.
But no, friendships are also important to me as well, Ebony. Like, I express this, I think, in all of our soliloquies. I do love the energies in my life. I love all of you guys. I'm grateful. I'm so great. I've learned so many things from the people that I've crossed paths with, whether we're friends or not. I've just learned so many things about the world and about people, and so many things about culture. So I'm just grateful for everyone that I've crossed paths with, but most importantly my friends that have been there for me. Friends like yourself, be riding and dying. I got some other amazing friends. This is my opportunity, because some of these podcasts I've had some feedback from my friends and they be feeling like I don't love them too. I love you lot for different reasons. And we actually do. We have our separate friendships. It's not just like Ali and Ebony against the world. No, what we have is our little soul ship, and then we have our separate soul ships, and some of them mix and some of them don't. There's certain things I go to other people for that Ali can't give me. Which is nothing. It's a lie. Nothing, don't worry. I lie, she tell. I'm gonna just come closer now, because why is she lying? Basically, I'm an all-rounder.
No, actually, because
anything low vibe, you're right.
See, exactly. She knew what I was gonna say. Because sometimes Ems just wants to have a low vibe.
No. But thing is, no. Listen, I can do up low vibe.
Turn up at freaking whatever fete it is. You're gonna come with me.
I can. You think I can't bend over?
Alison,
I can bend.
Alison, we know you can bend. I'm talking about walk up.
Yeah, I can walk up. I can walk it up. I can woke it up. I can walk it up, darling. I can walk it up.
I'll keep it.
No, I'm joking, but keep it in the business. I can do what I need to do in it. It's just more time. Ali and her energies and the vibrations, literally, I feel like I'm vibrating out when I go raving. But it's because I mean, it's too late. I'm grown now, innit? I used to rave when I was like 15, you know. Naughty. So I started so early, me tired.
No, I hear you. But
however, I can walk it up.
Of course.
I can walk it up.
She says so.
I can walk it up.
No, I'm actually done. The way you're saying that word.
I can walk it up.
You cannot walk up.
But the thing is, I can.
Okay, babe.
I can.
I'm not saying that's what I go to my other friends for, by the way. I'm just saying some low vibrational stuff Ali is not down for, and that's
fine.
Thing
is, no, but do you know what it
and
is?
That's fine.
It's because Ebs is my high vibe friends. My friends that partake in quote unquote low vibrational activity.
You're trying to be PC and shit.
Quote unquote. They know, because I can do up some, especially me when it comes to like me. If I've had a drink. Why is that funny?
I want to know.
No,
if
why are
you're
you
gonna
laughing?
ride out on some ratchet shit, Ali. That's
yes,
what
I've
I
done
need to
that.
know.
I will ride out on ratchet shit.
Sometimes I don't know, you know.
But you don't know because you've never seen me in that. You've never been in that setting with me.
I've been in that setting with you.
No.
Well, we met. How did we meet?
I was in different space.
You see how she trying to backtrack? We met in a ratchet setting. Come on.
Yeah, but I was in a different space then.
Yeah. We met. By the way, we were drunk when we met. We were very well. I was way more drunk than you.
Yeah, and we still managed to have some big, deep fucking conversation. Like fucking hell, it was always meant to be.
Yeah.
But no, for real.
Yeah.
Those because Ebs and I haven't seen each other in certain settings, like that setting, holiday settings.
Holiday settings is definitely one we need to touch on, definitely. But I feel like what other settings am I not seeing?
But trust me, I can be low vibe.
I know you can, Ali. I'm just bantering you. I know Ali can be low vibe, don't worry.
But can we say, by the way, enjoying dancing and blah blah blah, it's not low vibe.
No, it's not a bad thing. Obviously, like I said, I love it to indulge. Listen, I'm a carnival baby, so it's not low. It's not low vibe necessarily. But I'm just saying, sometimes in those nice settings, you might have some low vibe moments.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So yeah. Anyway,
shout out to my walkers. Walking it up.
Stop it. I'm cutting off the podcast here now because you're taking the piss.
No, I'm not. Do you know what I was going to say? That's so low vibe. I was going to say shout out to my small. And then I thought no, because they're going to be like, oh my god, Jamaica.
Don't you dare. Do not dare.
Why? Is it not a
It's disrespectful, okay?
Yeah, you guys hate it.
No, I was about to say low
island. You see it then? And when I'm saying walking it up,
us small islanders are offended, okay? Leave us alone.
No, I don't think you're a small island. Like, you're just whatever, innit?
Of course.
No, that sounds worse. You know that when, when the Karens say, I don't see colour.
Alright.
No, shout out to all our islanders.
Let's just go this one.
Should we not shout out?
We're just going down a hole.
Okay, so we basically, Evs and I will be debating about how we should close this, but now we just got to be real with you lot. We're laughing. We can't seem to regroup.
We can't seem to close it, but let's close the podcast. Yeah. Let us know what you feel about that conversation. Let us know how you feel about your friendships. Do you take them more seriously than your romantic relationships? I mean, probably, most likely not, but just let us know.
They need to be equally yoked to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know.
So on that note, you can catch Ebs and I on Instagram at divine.soliloquy. That's divine.soliloquy.